Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're doing well this Friday evening, UK time. My name's Carl. Welcome to this webinar, this live question and answer webinar about how to write a TEFL job cover letter. Please let me know wherever you are in the world. I can see some people already saying hello. We've got Brian in Ontario, Piedad, hello, Zenat in South Africa, Mr. Hintu in Toronto, Alexander in Glastonbury, FBKA, Fika, is that in Italy, Dave in Atlanta, Simply in London. Nice to meet you all. Please let me know where you are. I'm in Northern Ireland, where I work as an online teacher. I work as a teacher trainer for the TEFL Org, so I do any practical courses that are happening in Northern Ireland. I also work as an online examiner. So that's basically what I do. I've also been lucky enough to have worked in many places around the world. In the almost 20 years I've been teaching, I've taught in China, Japan, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Iraq. I was there for a bit. Just before COVID, I was working a lot in Spain and Italy. So if you've got any questions at all about TEFL, please put them in the chat and I will try and answer them for you. If I don't, Alan will answer them for you as well in the chat. He's monitoring the chat. But the main topic of today is going to be about how to write a cover letter. So if you've got any points or anything that you disagree with me or agree with, anything like that, please put that in the chat as well. Any experience you have about this, also please put it in the chat. I'm going to talk a little bit about sort of the structure, what to put in it, and I'm going to talk a bit about what to do when you've got no experience in teaching English, basically what to put in there instead. Okay, so look, all the hellos are coming in. Someone's in Colombia, that's lovely. Kenya, hi Ken. Julian in Germany, Albania, Florida, Tunisia, all over the place. So first of all, let's talk a bit just about cover letters. So if you've been watching these webinars, last week I talked a little bit about what to put in your CV. We've also done past webinars about application forms and interviews, that kind of thing. This one is basically just talk about the cover letter. And the first thing I would say to you is it's more important than you think, the cover letter. I know that I was kind of guilty at the start of my TEFL career of just putting lots of my effort into the job applications, my CV, and not so much into the cover letter. But then once I started recruiting and managing teachers, I realized that the cover letter was the first thing that I looked at. So it is really important that you get the cover letter correct and you make it really sell yourself a bit. It's not something that I'm great at, selling myself, but that's generally what the cover letter really is a bit about. So basically, the key thing is it's the main opportunity for you to highlight how you meet the job description. So I'm sure if you're looking for work at the moment, you've looked through lots and lots of different TEFL jobs, and you'll see that they have a wide variety of them, in terms of the hours you'll be working, the students you'll be teaching, the nationalities, online, offline, whether you're doing business English, young learners, academic English, general English, whatever it is, there's a wide variety. And the key part of the cover letter is for you to show that you match the job description in terms of qualifications, in terms of experience, if they want experience, that kind of thing. All right. And it does need to be quite formal. I've had some cover letters sent to me where they've been really too relaxed and they've really not put much effort into them. It's just been, hi sir, here is my job application, regards, that kind of thing. It has to be quite formal. It has to be quite, an official way of starting the job application process. All right? So stick to the letter writing conventions. So think of the first time you write to someone, you don't tend to be quite informal. You tend to be quite formal. You have a dear at the start. You have some kind of ending. If you're doing it on a Word document, I'm going to talk a bit about whether to do emails or Word documents in a minute. But, you got to have addresses, you got to have dates, that kind of thing in it. Stick to the typical letter writing conventions. that are seen as standard for writing a letter in English. Okay. So let's talk a bit about the length of the letter. And you will find in the job description that the company will tell you what they want. So quite often they will say you need to send your CV, and they'll say you need to fill in a job application form. Okay, or they might just say send a CV. Some will say please send in a cover letter, a CV and a job application. Some might say job application, cover letter. I don't know. And what I tend to do when I apply is I put the cover letter into the email, the main body of the email, and then I attach my CV, I attach the job application form if needed. Also, I attach things like passports, that kind of thing. But really look carefully at the job description and do what they tell you to do if it mentions the cover letter. If it says, please send an A4 document cover letter, type it out in Microsoft Word, attach it, and then just put a very quick email. Dear Sir, Madam, please attach my job description. That kind of, my job application. But what I like to do, and I think it works best, is to have the cover letter in the main body of the email. So that way, then I think you can do it to 3 paragraphs. So I'm talking about 3 sort of body paragraphs, and I'll go into them in a minute. But I think 3 paragraphs is enough if you're sending it in an email. However, if you want to write it in a Microsoft Word document and then you want to attach it, I think you've got to sort of hit the half page of an A4. You've got to sort of, if an A4 paper is like this, you want to get to at least halfway. Then but you don't want to be longer than 1 page. I think less than half a page is a bit too short. It doesn't look good on a piece of paper. So that's why I tend to like to put it in an email, because I think you can be a bit more concise and you don't really have to worry about so much about how it looks, that kind of thing. If you make a Word document, it does have to look like a letter. So that means having your address, having the name of the company, having a date. You've got to have it in very neat paragraphs. It's got to look nice on a page, that kind of thing. You've got to choose the right font. All this kind of thing has to happen in a Word document. So take time with the formatting. It's amazing how many applications I got where the formatting was all over the place with the CVs. And there was different size fonts, different types of fonts. Drove me mad, absolutely mad. So I'm not going to put a word count on it, really. But I think really just sort of think about the length in terms of paragraphs or how it looks on a paper. Do a new one for each job. When you first start TEFLing, you'll see 4 or 5 different jobs that you like, and you think, oh, right, I'm just going to copy and paste this. Woohoo, brilliant, that's easy. Do a new one for each job. It's very obvious when people copy their cover letter from one to the other, because they don't match the job description, basically. Each job description is going to be slightly different. It could be in terms of the ages of the students, could be in terms of a nationality maybe, it could be in terms of the class size, could be in terms of the hours that you work, that kind of thing. So it's very obvious when nothing is spoken about with the things that I put in the advert. So do an individual one for each letter. How I recommend you kind of do it is you read the job description. That's a key part of it. Read very carefully the job description, as in who you will be teaching, where you'll be teaching, how you'll be teaching, all that kind of thing. Then write the letter, keeping that job description in mind. Now, if you can somehow keep the job description up on one screen while you're writing it on another screen, or if you can print one off, that kind of thing, I think that really helps. Match your experience. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a bit, but match your experience to the job description in terms of qualifications, in terms of work. That's really important. And that's how somebody reading it knows that you are individually writing one for their job. Then read the job description again. After you've written it, read the job description again and think, does this person in front of me, as in you, does this person match the job description? Where can I see in the cover letter the parts that match my job description. Because if I've got a job advert running, I might get 100, I might get 150 applications, for example. I might only get 10. But even if I get 10, it's going to take me a long time to just read through the CVs word for word. If I've got something in front of me that can show me quite quickly that this person knows what the job is about and they match the job, it really does make my life easier. I'm going to be a bit more sympathetic to you. So, how do you start it? If you can find out the name of the person, then address it to Mr. or Mrs. If you're not sure if it's Mrs., we tend to use MS in English. Ms. Cameron Day, Ms. Huff. I'm just reading some names now. Miss Kibbe, Miss Hussein, for example. But if it's clear whether it's Mr. or Mrs., then do put that on there. For the first email, don't write Dear Paul, Dear Carl, Dear Alan. Be quite formal with it. If you don't know the name of the person, then write Dear Sir or Madam. Yeah? Please, please, please don't just say Dear Sir. Dear Sir or Madam. There are a lot of ladies working in TEFL, and how would you feel if you didn't, if you got read 10 emails that all said Dear Sir? Okay. Start the email friendly so you can wish them well. So I get a lot of emails saying, hope you're doing well. That's a nice way. If you can think of a more individualistic way to say it, sort of like, hope you're having a nice day, things like this. I reckon that's a little bit nicer than just a generic, hope you're doing well. Okay. Start friendly, start nicely. Wish them well in some way. Okay. State why you are writing the email or the letter and where you saw it. So I'm writing to apply for the job of academic English teacher as advertised on TEFL Org, on the TEFL Org website, something like that. Companies like to know where you've seen the job application because they like to see, first of all, you'd be surprised how many people just tell someone else, oh, you should also apply for this job. Yeah, just send it to this email without reading the job description. If you can say, oh, I saw it on TEFL Org website, then you go, okay, great. They've read the job description. They know, they've been looking, they're professional. They feel good about the application. So that's how to start it. Then in the first paragraph, say how you match the job description. Okay, so you've written a nice paragraph saying, I hope you're doing okay. I'm writing to apply. So say how you match the job description. So this could be sort of briefly describing your matching qualification. So if it says it needs a accredited TEFL Org qualification, like the ones that we offer, then say that. Yeah. If it says that, it needs a 120-hour TEFL course level, 120-hour certificate, then say, I have a 120-hour qualification from the TEFL Org. Something like that. Briefly describe. If it says you want a level 5, say you've got a level 5 qualification. If it says you need some sort of young learners qualification, say I have a young learners qualification. I have a degree. Whatever it might be, briefly state in that paragraph how it matches the job description, your qualifications. Then highlight the aspects that match the job. So you could say I have a 120-hour TEFL Org qualification where I learnt about communicative language teaching. As you've put in your job application, you want a communicative teacher. I feel that this qualification will help me to do this. Something like this. Highlight some aspects from your qualification that match the job. All right. Then talk a little bit about your work experience. In a minute, I'll talk about what to do if you've not got any experience in teaching. But if you do have some TEFL experience, highlight any parts that match it. So if the job is saying, we require someone with experience of teaching 8-year-olds, then say, I taught for 2 years in Thailand where I taught 8-year-olds how to improve their pronunciation, whatever it might be. Okay. Highlight it that it's nice. It shows very clearly, great, this person matches what I want. Right. And in the second paragraph, think about why do you want this particular job? And this is very obvious if you've got copied and pasted cover letter ones, okay? Why do you, the teacher, particularly want this job? Do you want to teach that nationality? So if the job is advertising teaching Chinese students, think, why do you want to teach Chinese students? Don't say in the second paragraph, I am interested in your job because I like teaching Chinese students. You gotta say why. I like teaching Chinese students because I'm interested in Chinese culture. I have been learning about the cities of China. I've been learning about the different types of language. I believe that Chinese students are some of the friendliest students. Something like that. You know, explain why you want to teach that nationality. If it's an age range, why do you want to teach that age range? Oh, I have always wanted to teach 6 to 8 year olds because I believe you can have fun in teaching them by playing lots of games, for example. All right. Yes, I enjoy teaching business English because I have a background myself in teaching business English, and I really feel I can improve the students' business vocabulary, business negotiation skills, whatever it is you think you can do. This kind of thing in the second paragraph, and try and link it to your own experience if you've got any. Okay. Or what skills do you have for that job? Oh, I have feedback saying that I'm a very friendly teacher, and I think this will be invaluable for you in teaching shy students how to improve their pronunciation. Whatever it says in the job description, put it in that second paragraph. Okay. And, you know, try and give some sort of experience as well. And, you know, don't just sort of say, I like teaching children. Why do you? So then the final paragraph, thank them for what it could be. Okay, so thank you very much for your time in reading this cover letter, that kind of thing. Tell them the documents you have attached. Now, this is good for two reasons. It's good for the employer to know that you have attached the ones that you've read the job description and you know what to attach. Secondly, it makes you check that you have attached all the documents. So if you've said, I've attached my CV, or as per the job description, I've attached my CV and a copy of my passport. Then you look up and look at your attachments. Have you actually done that? Also, some computer programs check your email and it says, it looks like you have you are trying to send an attachment, but you haven't. Do you want to send this email? And then you can check, I forgot to attach it. Then you can attach it, because I personally get really embarrassed when I send an email and forget the attachment. Okay. Tell them the documents you've attached and say again in one sentence briefly why you're suitable. I feel my qualifications and my work experience and my skills match your job description, and I believe I can be an effective teacher for you and your students. Something like that. Don't go into too much detail, and say you look forward to the interview. That's how I look forward to speaking to you at a possible interview in the future. Something like that. Finish the letter correctly. So you could say kind regards. You could say yours sincerely, yours faithfully. You got to match the one that goes at the top. Look online to make sure you're matching that correctly. But have some sort of nice ending to finish the letter correctly. Okay. Right, before I start this, I can see some questions coming in. Thank you very much. Please, if you've got any questions at all about teaching English as a foreign language, or if you've got any questions about this cover letter, please put them in chat and I will get round to them in probably about a couple of minutes. Okay. So, right, if you've got no experience, and that's okay. Every teacher has to start somewhere. My first job, obviously, I had no experience. I jetted off to Vietnam. Fantastic experience, but I got a job with no experience, okay? And recruiters know that. And you'll see jobs out there where they say no experience necessary. You'll also see jobs advertised where they say experience is needed. But if you don't have it, that's fine. You know, if you think that you've got everything else except the experience, it might be worth giving it a go, okay? So, if you've got no experience, really highlight your qualification. Talk about what you did in your qualification that you learned that will help you in this job. Okay. In that cover letter, in that paragraph, say, highlight the parts that match the job description. Okay. So, on my qualification, I learned this. I think this will help your students and then you take a bit from the job description by improving their communicative skills, improving their business English, whatever it might be. Think about your work or school experience. Yeah. So, if you think that you've done any public speaking at school or at work, at any time did you get up in front of a group of people and you gave a speech, or you just had to advise a group? There's something where you had lots of people looking at you. Did you do anything like that? Highlight that into your job, into your cover letter, and see if that matches the job description somehow. All right. Or customer handling. So you could talk a bit about how you sold some things, or you dealt with complaints, dealt with inquiries, that kind of thing. That is useful. Yeah. Any training you've done outside of TEFL. So have you taken part in any cultural training? Have you taken part in any telephone training? Anything like that that might be able to link to business English maybe, or link to teaching online, that kind of thing. Any tech skills you have, that's another thing that you might want to highlight in your cover letter, especially if you're going to teach online. Yeah. Anything like that can help to highlight. And anything where you've looked after large groups of people. So have you run summer camps for kids? Have you organized lunches for big groups? Something like that. All right. Anything where you've looked after large groups of people also looks good when applying for jobs. Okay. If you've got no experience, don't think that you shouldn't apply. What's the worst that can happen? You get that email back rejecting you. Is that the end of the world? No. But you will see jobs out there where you think, do you know what? I matched that. I haven't got the experience. Why not go for it? Why not? Okay. But also you'll see jobs out there where it says experience not needed. No experience needed. Right. Some other tips. Check the spelling and grammar of your cover letter, your CV, everything. The amount of cover letters I've seen where people have not checked their spelling for a job teaching English. Can you imagine that? That has happened to me. Ask someone to check it for you. The reason being, if your first language isn't English, then sometimes you don't see your mistakes. If you get someone else to see it, they will see it with a fresh pair of eyes. They might check the mistakes. Okay. If you are using Microsoft Word, change the language of your Microsoft Word to English. I do proofreading for students, and very often they have set, when they're typing in English on their Microsoft Word, they've still got it set in their home language, and the spelling and the grammar doesn't work quite as well. They haven't installed the English dictionary, for example. Do that. Check it. Use the tools of Microsoft Word to help you. Check if there are any empty sentences. So if you've got sentences such as, I'm a good communicator, that kind of thing, does it really help you? You got to say why. You got to explain it. I like teaching Chinese students. Good. Why do you like teaching Chinese students? That kind of thing. All right. Read it again as an employer. Would you employ this person? Does it look quite generic? Does it actually match what you want to do? Okay. Yeah. Great. Thank you very much. I'm going to get to some questions now. Thank you. Right. Where's the hello to all the hellos? We've got some people in Albania, Florida, Rome, Brazil, Lebanon, Zimbabwe, California, Kenya in the house. Well, there's a couple of people from Kenya. Right. Just going to take a quick water before I get to Hasnan. That's a good one, Hasnan. I think that you should write one for every job description, to be honest. I think if you just write your job application. Now, the only time you might not write a cover letter is if you're applying through their website. So there are some TEFL jobs, quite rare, where you create like a profile and then you attach your resume or your CV or maybe an application form or your passport picture, whatever it might be, and then it gets sent. There you might not have the chance to do a cover letter. But if it's any sort of application where you're emailing them, I would do a cover letter in that email. Yeah, I would. Why not? It's much better to do one than to not do one. Okay. Mr. Hintu, yeah, using the Word documents. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah, okay. So next question, Ken, is it advisable to add a photo? Right, so a couple of things there. It's very normal for companies to ask for a copy of your passport. If they ask for a copy of your passport, you've got your photo there. However, some people like to put their photo in their CV. At the top, have a little photo. I don't think you should have it in the cover letter. No, I think you should have it in your CV. It's another thing to check. When you're sending it from your email address, do you have like a profile picture attached to your email address? I've seen some crazy ones. Make sure that you've got a good one that matches your email address in Google, Word, or Outlook, whatever it might be. But I think for the cover letter, no, you don't need to. No. Okay. Carol, hello. Are there jobs online in England? So do you mean working from the UK teaching abroad, Carol? Yes, is the short answer. If you're looking for jobs so you're outside the UK and you want to teach people in the UK, that's a bit rarer. That hardly sort of ever happens. But yes, if you go on our website, TEFL.org, let me have a look there. Let me see if I can get the website up now. If you go to our website, let me just share this screen here. If you go to our website, TEFL.org, we have a section at the top here called TEFL Jobs. And if you look in here, we've got jobs all over the world, but you can also look for online vacancies, okay? And that will do that for you. It will look at some of those, and it's a bit slow, my computer. And then if you scroll down, you'll see here some online jobs. So you could apply for any of those. I'm pretty sure if you're in the UK, as long as you've got your TEFL certificate. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Carol. Libby, hi. Is there a better time of year to apply when more schools are hiring? So actually, it sort of depends on where you want to go in the world. So the best time to get jobs in the UK and Ireland is the summer, June, July. So a lot of jobs are advertised to come work in UK. And also, I should also say summer schools in America and also Canada, regions like that. June, July is a good time to be looking. So you look in around March, April time, possibly February, for jobs to start in June, July. If you want to go abroad and you want to teach in Asia, then it tends to be when the terms start. So they take a lot of people in January. They take a lot of people in sort of in the fall term, which is sort of seen as September, October. So really it takes about 3 or 4 months before then to get to start, because it can actually take 3 or 4 months for the visa process to go through. So they tend to work sort of 3 or 4 months before the start dates. If you want to go work in Europe, tends to be that the summer isn't a good time to be working in Europe. So they want people to start in October, January, March. But, there are also jobs in the summer, but they tend to not be that many. Yes, it does depend where you're going in the world. But if you need to get a visa, you've got to plan sort of 4, maybe 5 months before. I once had a job where I waited 9 months for my visa to come through. Okay. Brian, hi. You heard on a previous YouTube video that an introduction video of yourself may be a good idea. So actually some companies do ask for that. We've done webinars about this before in the past, so it might be worth looking up those. What I've known some people do is they upload just a hello video. Hi, nice to meet you. My name's Carl. Just a friendly introduction video, and they put it private on YouTube, and they send out the link. They might be put on their CV or in their cover letter. That's fine. The only thing I would say about that, Brian, is it's sort of got to match the job a little bit, really. You know, you could have a very generic one, but is it really going to tell people much? The other thing you've got to be aware of in that is how you speak. So make sure your pronunciation is on form. Make sure that you don't make that many grammar mistakes when you do it. Check it, revise it, do a couple of takes if I was you, Brian. But that's definitely something you could do. Libby, business English. So you do get companies that advertise solely for business English teachers. That's quite rare. So, for example, I worked for the British Council for a while and they had business English tutors. The business English I've done is not where I've been a sole business English teacher. For example, I worked in Japan. I worked for a company where I taught lots of different classes, and about 40% of my classes were business English. So if you're going to go to East Asia, that's where you might find more business English classes. If you do want to get into business English, another thing to do is to think about going into academic English, because a lot of academic English classes are actually business English. You'll be teaching business English to students in an academic way. So you'll be teaching them how to write business English essays, for example. I don't know a single company. Go on our website, TEFL.org, see if there's any jobs there advertised in business English. If not, go on eslcafe.com. Look at the jobs there, see if there's any that solely say business English. But what you will find, Libby, is that you'll see some jobs saying you will be teaching business English and general English. You will be teaching business English and young learners. That kind of thing. All right. Felix, hello. You're from Kenya. You've been interested in teaching English either online or actual. You don't know where to start. You have a TEFL certification and degree 2. Where can you apply for jobs? So the first thing is if you did your TEFL certificate with us, Felix, drop us a line, drop us a message. We can see if you're one of our students. We can definitely help you if you're having a bit of trouble with that. But if not, the first place to look at, as I said, is our website. So if you go to the job center on our website, you will be able to see a lot of jobs where you can change it to locations. You can see ones where you need a degree, all that kind of thing. The other ones to think about, if you go to eslcafe.com, it's a good website as well for finding jobs. It's a bit of an oldish looking website. You can go there on the international job board and you can search through all of the jobs here, see if there's any that you fancy. Another good one is TEFL.com. We are TEFL.org, but TEFL.com is a good one. Again, see if you match any. Finally, you could just good old Google, type into Google TEFL jobs. Okay, and you'd be surprised wherever you are in the world, you'll see some jobs here about how to become a TEFL teacher. Okay, so they're websites that I would start looking at if I was you, Felix. But definitely start with our website, TEFL.org. Good. Hello, Amy. Hi, Amy. Should I include a sentence about my nationality? Right, so a couple of things about that. If it says in the job description what nationality it's open to, yes. So if it says, I hate it when it says native speakers only. If it does say native speakers only, what does that? Native speakers is such a wide variety of native speakers in English, and if English isn't your first language, but you have a certificate that shows that you are a C2 advanced level speaker of English, are you native level? I would argue yes. So if you see jobs where it says native speakers only, put your English qualification if you're a non-native speaker, put your nationality in if you are a native speaker of English. Okay. Brexit. If you're applying for jobs in Spain, then I would put that in my CV more than my job description. Okay, I wouldn't really put that really in my, I would put that in my CV, not in the cover letter. So I got a bit confused then. I wouldn't really put that in the cover letter. Did I say that right? I think I did. Let me just say that again in my head. The firstly correct. If you're British, applying for jobs in Spain, I would put that in my CV, not my cover letter. I think that answers it more concisely. I hate Brexit. Salim, hello. What kind of experience is required? Right, so it's an interesting one. So doing a TEFL certification tends to, not always, but tends to be for people wanting to teach outside their country. So if you want to move to teach in another country, do a TEFL certificate, opens up lots of international doors for you. If you want to teach online from your country but teach students outside, do a TEFL certificate, that also opens doors for you. But there are also jobs teaching in local colleges around you. So you'd be surprised. I don't know where you are, Salim, but wherever you are in the world, even in an English-speaking country, there's probably a language school near you. I'm in Northern Ireland. There's 2 language schools in my town. So I could, with my TEFL certificate, teach international people in the town that I'm living in face to face. And that's true for the rest of the world. Salim, let's say you're in Colombo. Yeah? You find language schools in Colombo. You could maybe go with them with a TEFL certificate and say, look, hi, I have my TEFL certificate. Can I have a job? So it does work in a variety of ways, Salim. Okay. P-Dad, hello. Am I saying that name correct? I hope I am. Some job I've asked about attaching the file. Should it go on the first page? The cover letter. So what I would do is I would have, let's say it wants your passport, your CV, and it wants your cover letter. I would, and it tells you to attach it, I would name them 3 files. P-Dad Lorenz Serrano cover letter, job application, passport photo. And I would put in the body of the email, dear sir or madam, please find attached my applications for your job as a business English teacher as advertised on the TEFL Org website. Kind regards, P-Dad. That's what I would say. Yeah. Good luck with that. Simply a deal. Simply a deal? A deal? Nice. You're not great at selling yourself. Well, to be honest, we're teachers. We're not some salesman where we've got to try and sell ourselves. The only time you've really got to be good at selling yourself is if you're trying to recruit your own students. Then you have to pimp yourself out to everyone. Could you please give more examples of how to sell ourselves? How to say ways of which we match the job description if we have no experience? Let me try. So, if the job says something like, come teach, we are looking for a teacher to teach our young learner Chinese students in communicative spoken English. Now, I don't know you, Mr. or Mrs. Simply, but I would put something, first of all, in my qualification, I learnt the techniques, how to get students speaking in the classroom through using communicative techniques. I believe this can work to teach your students, your Chinese students, your young Chinese students, by getting them to work in pairs, do group work, things like that. I don't know. Simply, you could say, in my school, I learnt how to handle groups of younger people because I ran the football coaching, I volunteered at the local church, something like that, and I helped them to organise the games, helped them to organise the activities, all this kind of thing you can put in there yourself to match any job description you have. I hope that answers your question simply. Okay. Piad, for selling you should recognise what are your skills to a job offer. Yeah, exactly. What things can you give the company? So can you give your, your personable way? Can you give them your experience of learning on your degree to help teach academic English? You'd be surprised how easy it is to match things you've done in the past through to things you see in a job description. Thanks for that, Peter. That's very useful. Okay. Hasnan, one last question, I think, and then I'm going to be off. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Could you advise how someone starting their online teaching can find their niche? Right. So the nichier, the better. So business teaching is massive. There's a lot of different strands to business teaching. What you'd be surprised is that people don't tend to just type into Google, Yahoo. Do people use Yahoo? My missus does. Yahoo, MSN, whatever it might be, search engines, improve my business English. What they tend to type is improve my business English writing, improve my business English presentations. So Hasnan, think about what you would like to teach within business English. And then can you make it even better? Like for Japanese speakers, for low-level speakers, for engineering salesmen, I don't know, something like that. You'd be surprised how people are quite exact when they, first of all, they do a general search and then they get lots of results. They think that's no good for me, a student. So then students start narrowing it down a bit. And you'd be surprised how much that helps, okay? So think about that. There are tools on Google to see how often search terms are put in. That's something that you can think of. You can also sort of have a look really about English textbooks. So look online, find some textbooks, see the kinds of things they teach. See if you can think, oh, I'd quite like to teach that. Take that. Can you make some lessons up around that? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that webinar. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but thank you very much for staying with us. Please give us one of those likes if you're on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. We've done lots more of these webinars over the last year or so. So 2 years, in fact. So there's a whole range of them on YouTube, a whole range of them on Facebook. Thank you very much. I hope you found that useful. Please put in the chat if you did or you didn't, because I read them all. Have a good weekend, everybody. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.